started a GoFundMe to get people to help me move for grad school. A lot of people just want to know, how has it been like living in DC, especially without family and all. Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel. My name is Grace Alex, and if you are new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and also comment below this video, and also let me know what other type of videos you would want to see on this channel. So lately this question has popped up a lot on my radar, and also within in my DMs and on my Twitter page. People want to know how it feels like to live in Washington DC, or what it feels like to move to a new country and start over again. So for those of you who don't know this, I moved to the US in 2017 for my grad degree. It was a tumultuous process. I had started a GoFundMe to get people to help me move for grad school. My tuition to Georgetown was around 80 grand. I was requesting for half of that fund because I could afford the other half. I raised $1,500, and yeah, but I ended up graduating. And I think a lot of people just want to know, how has it been like living in DC, especially without family and all. Last year I did attempt to answer a video about moving for grad school and what you should expect, and I will link that below this video. So this is a video of head, and I'm just going to answer or explain a few things newcomers or people who haven't traveled out of their home country can expect. So for DC, Washington DC, living in Washington DC as a Nigerian and someone who had just moved out of the country, mind you, my moving to DC was the first time I was traveling out of Nigeria. I hadn't been to Ghana, I had not been to Senegal, I had not been to any African countries or any country at all. I had just left Nigeria straight up here. And so it was, I won't lie, it was difficult. You first of all, you get the culture shock, and then you start to, if you're a content creator, it's like starting your life all over again, and being in an environment where, especially as a Nigerian, we aren't really taught how to communicate, how to be self-confident, and a lot of all these other little things that build on your self-esteem. And then you come into this environment that is really fast-paced, and people expect you to keep up. And so that's the one thing that I kind of first realized, that moving here really took a toll on my self-confidence and how I perceived content and how I created content. Like right now, anytime I look through my Instagram page, I'm just like, Grace, shoot yourself. It's so it's so difficult to be yourself in an environment you didn't necessarily grow up in. And also coming from a background, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon, so it was also this coming to a new environment, coming from a broke, no, semi-broke home, and then thrown into this sea of advancement and people just figuring out themselves. But that said, I will say that for whoever moving into this country, it's very important that you have sort of a family or friend who can cushion the to a large extent, the bad side or the worst side or the sour feeling of moving to a new country, especially with transportation, understanding what to buy, understanding filing taxes, just understanding the basic culture of the environment you're moving to. I did have family here, like an extended family. Oh, shout out to Onyemiri, shout out to Chimi, shout out to the Equis. Really, they saved my ass. Onyebere, Onyebere, who is my big brother, my cousin, was very helpful. He used to pick me up every Friday. Like when I mean every Friday, for a 1 hour drive, just so I'm able to eat Nigerian food and come back to DC and have my head straight. And yo, that is MVP stuff. And I just think if I didn't have that blanket or cushion, I would have ran mad. At some point, I literally had to go for therapy. I had to go to Georgetown for therapy because my life was falling apart. People don't tell you that, but when you move to a new country without family, without anybody to save your soul, you're probably going into damnation. This is not to tell you not to move. By all means, pack your bags and leave, but you have to have the grit to be able to survive in an environment that you've never been to, that is new experience to you or for you. The second thing is prepare for housing. Well, if you're Nigerian, you kind of understand that you pay your rent at the end of the year. So if you started living in the house by January, the rent is 2020, your rent is due January 2021. In the US, it's quite opposite. You have to pay your bills every MF month. So you have to figure out income on how to pay your rent every month. It's very difficult to find a house, especially in DC, because this is a very this is like a, would I call it it's a fast-paced city, and it's also expensive to live here because it's the capital, of the United States. So housing here is quite expensive. You're budgeting around $600 to $1,500 to just live basically in an apartment. Also, you cannot, well, except your father is rich and you can afford it. But if you are like me, who is an average Nigerian, please be ready to live with roommates, be ready to live with people. And yeah, with a roommate situation, you're still going to budget around $1,000 standard fare. For 600, you're probably going to be living at the outskirts of DC. You're not living close by. So that's in itself. If your school is like me, that is in Georgetown, you definitely cannot be living in Maryland, because that is just I don't know, there's an English word I'm trying to use to define, but that is like being penny wise pound foolish, because by the time you're adding up transport, by the time you're adding up losing time for classes and joining in late, it's not just worth it. So a high budget for housing. So in a year you're budgeting around, let's see, $12,000 to $20,000 for housing. And then you have food. So when I moved here, food was a major thing that, as I said, my cousin was really helpful with that. I did have family who would prepare food, and I'll just take a lot and store up for a week, and then the next week the same journey. But as time went on and I started to, ease that process of going back, I had to figure out food. I don't like eating out. So eating out here really affects my health. So I basically make my own food. I like my food made fresh, and you're also saving up for food, because on an average you could get like a good meal for like 20, 25 to $30. But then by the time you do $30 for, let's say, breakfast and dinner, multiply that by 7, multiply that by 4, you already understand, the mental calculation. Meanwhile, you could actually budget like a $250 for a month and get your food sorted out. Safeway, Trader Joe's, Giant, Walmart. Walmart is my favorite place to shop, because first, things are affordable, and also you get to have international food session where you see things like tin tomatoes, curry, and all these flavors that are international, and as a Nigerian you can relate to. You could add that to your cart. So Walmart is like my favorite place to shop. Transportation, it's really advisable if you're moving to this country to come in with your driver's license, Mine got missing, and so I wasn't able to bring that here, and it's been 4 years now, and I've not sorted out my driver's license. And that stuff is shitty, because sometimes people are not able to move you from point A to point B, and you want to be able to drive yourself. You want to be able to move and go to U-Haul and say, you know what, I can drive, I need a U-Haul truck. I can't do that. I have to get and so that is such a sick, silly thing. I don't know how I misplaced my driver's license, but you guys understand that that's a problem. um that said, I do think also you have like the relationship complexity, where you come in and it's almost like you see people, especially during spring and summer. I did mention that in my last video, where people are all loved up and you are trying to figure out, okay, so you can kiss in public, you can hug in public, people are barely clad. And as a Nigerian coming from a culture where, you give sad eyes to people doing any of those things, it's a new experience, and you also have to understand that people's liberty here cannot be infringed upon. And it's a beautiful thing, because you also, as a person, start to open up your mind to other possibilities. And that leads me to the other point, which I had mentioned I think in my last video, that you really have like an open mind. Once you move to a new country, you have to be willing to open your mind up, open your head up, open your taste buds up, everything you need to open up, because it's a new environment, is new people, is new experiences, is new feelings. And if you do not have an open mind to receiving these things, then there's going to be a problem. Another thing that was weird was greeting people. You know how in Nigeria we are very huge on respect. We have a huge respect culture, and we greet people good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And over here, by the time you greet people good morning or good afternoon, everyone is looking at you like you're weird. I do believe that culture also has to change in Nigeria, where you get to call people by, you know, sir or ma. When you call people by their first name, the less they are likely to disrespect you. That is my own opinion. And another thing to just prepare for is like the taxes. I think taxes here is one thing that you would keep learning about till you die. And getting a social security number is also tied to your life. Having a social security number is literally how you get a job and all of those shenanigans. You have to be able to rely on your international student organization or body in your school, and be able to meet them for questions you have around financial aid, getting a scholarship. Just knowing all of those basic questions, meeting your advisor, your international student advisor, is probably your best point of contact for every question that you need answered. And they're very helpful. Mine was very helpful. Shout out to Dylan. Dylan was like the real MVP when I needed him the most. And just really speak to people. I've really realized that the more you talk about your problems, the more likely you are to find a solution to it. So if you keep quiet, close mouth, don't get fed, no one is going to know you have a problem to find a way to help you address it. Find a local church or community. Although right now I'm not super religious or pursuing my Christian faith as ardently as I did when I moved to this country, pursuing your Christian faith or finding a community, if you're a Muslim, if you're a Christian, whatever, find a community. Because when you really need help, when you really need people to come through for you, your church, your community that you've bonded over with are the people who will come through for you. I don't know, I'm kind of trying to think of here what are the other like surprising things that I got to experience here. But one thing that did not necessarily change about me was really having friends. I haven't been able to make huge friends or go out or embrace the culture as much as I would. And I'm really learning that I'm more introverted than I think that I am. I just really talked a lot with people that I'm familiar with. And that hasn't necessarily changed about me. It's just something I discovered. I have also, opened up to new ideas, to new concepts, to understanding me. And that's a good thing about moving out from your family's house, out from an environment that is very restrictive. When you move to a new environment like the United States, you get to explore some of those boundaries that are very limiting or impossible to explore in Nigeria. And that has happened a lot for me here. In regards to creative opportunities as a blogger, it's been difficult because I haven't found my people. I haven't found someone to help create content for me. As much as we think that it's possible to create content by ourselves, is really more, you're able to create more impactful content when you're collaborating with someone. And I haven't been able to find that here. And sometimes that just really is a huge burden to me, but it's something I can't necessarily change until it changes. But yeah, I think I've covered up basically most of what I think or I remember to explain. And I think going into an F1 or getting a job and all of those things is complex, and I can't answer all of that in this video. One thing I would say is really speak to your international student advisor. They are the best point of contact to most of the questions you have. And it's important to find a community or someone who is able to cushion the initial shock and effect of moving to a new country. Really important. I can't overemphasize that enough. That said, don't forget to really subscribe again. Don't forget to subscribe and recommend this video. I hope I see you guys next time. I look really sleepy or I look stoned, but it's because I've literally been working and sleeping 4 hours every day. Not a good thing, not advisable. So till when I see you guys, Selefe.